Imagine waking up to a world where everything you see is covered in thick blue ice, the wind screams like a furious monster day and night, and a massive wall of frozen water stands miles high in the distance, because this was everyday life for our ancestors 20,000 years ago. During the Great Ice Age, the world had turned into a giant, freezing desert with almost no trees, just endless plains of dry grass called the Mammoth Steppe. And if you wanted to stay alive, you couldn't make a single mistake. These ancient humans couldn't just turn on a heater, flip a switch, or go to a grocery store. They had to invent everything from scratch to fight a daily war against extinction. And their first major invention was high-tech clothing made from animal fur. Instead of just wrapping loose skins around their shoulders, which would let the icy wind inside and cause frostbite in minutes, they carved tiny, sharp needles out of bird bones, drilled microscopic holes into them using sharp flint stones, and used animal tendons as thread to sew tight-fitted clothes, heavy boots, and warm hoods that trapped their body heat and kept them completely dry, which was the ultimate difference between life and death. They learned the secret of layering their clothes, putting soft, fluffy fur on the inside facing their skin to trap a layer of warm air, and using tough, waterproof leather on the outside to block the wet, heavy snow, creating a prehistoric spacesuit that let them stay outside for hours during terrifying blizzards without freezing. Finding a safe place to live was another massive challenge because there were no trees to build wooden cabins, and natural stone caves were incredibly rare in the middle of the open flat plains. So they looked at the biggest animals around, the woolly mammoths, and used their giant bones to build engineered houses. They would stack heavy mammoth skulls and massive jawbones in a big circle to make a strong foundation that wouldn't blow away. Use the long curved tusks to create a beautiful domed roof frame. Drape heavy animal hides over the top and pack thick blocks of frozen dirt and grass around the edges to seal out the wind, creating cozy dome-shaped huts that could hold a whole family. Inside these bone huts, the campfire was the absolute heart of the home. But because there was almost no wood to burn on the frozen plains, they discovered that dried animal fat and massive mammoth bones filled with oily marrow burned slowly and kept a fire going for hours, giving them light, warmth, and a way to cook their food. They had to keep these fires lit constantly, because if the flames went out during a midnight blizzard, the temperature inside the hut would drop below freezing in just a few minutes, meaning someone always had the dangerous job of staying awake to guard the glowing coals. Speaking of food, you couldn't be picky in the Ice Age because berries, fruits, and vegetables didn't grow in the snow, meaning humans had to become expert hunters of giant beasts like the woolly mammoth, the woolly rhinoceros, bison, and wild horses. Hunting a mammoth was a high-stakes team sport that required incredible planning, absolute silence, and bravery. A small group of humans could never fight a multi-ton beast head-on with simple weapons, so they used their intelligence to trick the animals, often tracking a herd for days through deep snow until they could corner a single mammoth near a cliff or drive it into a hidden pit trap lined with sharp wooden stakes. They would use bright fire torches and loud shouts to scare the giant, forcing it to run exactly where they wanted it to go, while hunters hid in the shadows waiting for the perfect moment. Once the animal was down, the entire tribe worked together to process it, because a single mammoth was a massive jackpot that provided thousands of pounds of meat, fat for the winter, bones for building, and thick fur for clothes. To keep the meat from spoiling, they didn't have modern refrigerators, but they had something just as good: the permafrost, frozen ground. So they would dig deep holes into the ice, pack the meat inside, and cover it back up, creating natural underground freezers that kept their food safe from predators and fresh for months. This meant that even when a massive storm kept them trapped inside for weeks, they had a safe warehouse of food right under their feet to keep the tribe fed and healthy. But surviving the Ice Age wasn't just about hunting and staying warm. It was about the power of staying connected as a community and keeping the human spirit alive. During the darkest, coldest months, when blizzards trapped them inside for weeks, people sat around the fire telling stories, teaching the younger generation how to track animals, and passing down mental maps of where to find clean water or safe shelters across thousands of miles. The elders would quiz the children on which tracks belonged to which animals, turning survival into a game so the kids would be ready when they grew up to face the wilderness. They also loved art, using burnt wood and crushed rocks to paint beautiful pictures of horses, rhinos, and mammoths on cave walls, and carving tiny statues out of ivory, which showed that even in the toughest conditions on Earth, they still cared about beauty, expression, and imagination. These cave paintings weren't just decorations. They were like a prehistoric schoolbook, showing the young hunters exactly where the target spots were on a mammoth's body to ensure a clean hunt. They even made a life-changing friendship during this brutal time by taming wild wolves, turning them into the very first pet dogs who helped humans hunt, warned them when danger was near, and kept them warm at night, making them the ultimate survival partners. At night, humans and wolves would sleep side by side, sharing their body heat to stay alive through the coldest hours before dawn, forging a bond that would change human history forever. It was this incredible teamwork, sharp intelligence, and refusal to give up that allowed a few thousand humans to not only survive the harshest climate the world has ever seen, but to actually thrive, spread across the globe, and eventually walk out of the melting ice to build the modern world we live in today.